Hello and welcome. I'm Maker, and this is everything overexplained about Alva, Incursion, and the Temple of Atzoatl. But what is everything overexplained? It's a series of videos in which I'll attempt to explain how specific Path of Exile mechanics work, what kinds of rewards they can provide, and delve deeper into all the minute little details that can be easily overlooked. Everything Overexplained aims to provide most comprehensive, all-around source of information on the topics covered, but there are bound to be inaccuracies, mistakes, or simply new findings. Even sources like PoeWiki and PoeDB are not infallible, so if you spot any mistakes, please leave a comment below. These videos will be separated into few sections: basics, with general description of the mechanic without delving too deep into specifics. Rewards section, in which I'll mention most of the exclusive goodies one can obtain from the mechanic in question. Advanced section, which will contain thorough examination of details and details of those details. Expert section, with deep dives into most complex or obscure elements. Extra section will contain anything else worth mentioning and will be reserved for most off-topic subjects. Today I'd like to focus on Alva Vaal and her Incursion mechanic. She was originally introduced during Incursion League and later returned during Betrayal as one of new masters. Incursion mechanic in itself has received numerous updates since then, but it has kept its core systems relatively the same. You will be engaging in forays into the past and manipulating career opportunities of architects building Temple of Atzoatl with the most reliable method known to man: murder. Your temple layout will change depending on which architects are killed and which are left free to advance their careers. Basics. Unlocking Alva. You will meet Alva very early in Act 7. She will provide you with a quest, No Time Like the Present, which will require completion of Temporal Incursion in the Causeway Zone. While this quest will ask you to enter a specific zone to proceed, taking the quest will allow her to spawn incursions in any zone of Act 7. And as a result, this quest can be completed way earlier. The Causeway is simply guaranteed to spawn Incursion if it hasn't been done earlier. Completing Incursion will finish this quest and allow you to invite Alva to your hideout. Basics: Temporal Incursions. Incursions by default will spawn 3 encounters per zone if possible. Completion of 12 temporal incursions will cause Temple of Atzoatl to be accessible and prevent further incursions until it's opened or itemized. Each incursion will present you with current state of the temple, amount of incursions remaining, as well as randomly selected room with 2 architects present. You can also see which rooms are currently accessible and which are obstructed due to not having direct connection to the entrance tile. Clicking Enter Incursion button will open a portal which will allow you to enter inside. The section showing currently chosen room will show you outcomes of killing each architect, as well as which passages connecting that room to the rest of the temple are open or still closed. Your main goal once inside is to kill one of the architects, which will allow the other one to advance his building project in that room. Once one of them is dead, the other one will despawn, so you can't kill both. If you fail to kill any architect, the room will stay the same, but that incursion will still count towards the 12 incursion limit. In a room that is currently not vacant, left architect will be the current resident architect, and the one on the right side will be the non-resident architect. In a room that is currently vacant, both architects will be the non-resident architect. Available outcomes caused by killing a specific architect are Upgrade and Switch. Upgrade is available in Tier 1 and Tier 2 rooms if you keep the resident architect alive. Upgrading will increase room tier by 1. Switch is available in rooms from Tier 0 to Tier 2. This outcome requires keeping non-resident architect alive and will cause a room to switch its room type to that of surviving architect. Notice that Tier 0 rooms can only be switched into Tier 1 rooms and not upgraded. This is an important difference to keep in mind for later. Your secondary objective during incursions is to unlock passages between the rooms. Each room can have between 3 to 6 possible unlockable exits depending on their placement in the temple. Some will be unlocked from the start, but any closed ones will require Stone of Passage to unlock. These stones are temporary item and cannot be taken out of temporal incursion, they dropped in. 1 stone is guaranteed to drop from an enemy if incursion takes place in a room with at least one locked door present. If room has multiple closed doors, there is a small chance to drop 2 or more stones of passage. Once you pick it up, clicking on any currently locked doorway will unlock it and it will stay open in the current day temple. While killing architects and opening doors, you will be limited by a timer. Entering an incursion initiates a 10-second timer, which can be extended by killing monsters or dealing damage to any architect. Once this timer runs out, you will be teleported out of the incursion encounter. If you want to leave early, you can use time portal located at the starting location inside of the incursion. Basics: Temple level. Completed Temple of Atzoatl will have its area level determined based on formula using average level of completed incursions. This formula will add additional 10 levels of leeway, but cap the final outcome based on highest level of incursion completed. Let's take an example. You have completed 6 incursions in Tier 1 maps, another 3 in Tier 11 map, and last 3 in Tier 16 map. Average level of completed incursions is 74.25. With additional 10, our outcome is 84.25. We cap the maximum value at highest level of completed map, in this case 83, and our final temple of Atzoatl will have area level of 83. Basics: Itemizing the temple. Once you have completed 12 incursions, you won't be able to do any more of them. At this point you will have 2 options when interacting with Alva: Open Temple and Take Temple Chronicle. Option to Take Temple Chronicle is only available after unlocking your map device after finishing the main campaign. If your temple is ready to be accessed before that point, you will only have Open Temple button available. Thankfully, you can simply unlock map device afterwards to itemize that temple later. Option to Take Temple Chronicle will generate an item called Chronicle of Atzoatl, which will save your current temple layout in an item form, which can be later used in your map device. Itemizing a temple in such way will have an effect of resetting your current temple and allowing you to generate another one. Chronicles of Atzoatl can be stashed and traded. Each chronicle will list its area level as well as all rooms with their tiers. Right-clicking on it will open graphic temple layout so you can look up how the rooms are connected. Placing it in map device will allow you to open that itemized temple. All rooms listed can be either open rooms or obstructed rooms. Open rooms are connected to the entrance tile and can be accessed. Obstructed rooms can't be normally accessed, but will still provide any global temple effects. If your temple has any tier of explosives room, you will be able to acquire flash powder kegs in amount equal to its tier. Each keg can be used to open a single obstructed passage, and is the only way to get inside obstructed rooms in already generated temple. Basics: Temple of Atzoatl. Using Open Temple option at Alva or placing a Chronicle of Atzoatl in map device will open 6 Atzoatl themed portals, which will allow you to access the Temple of Atzoatl. That area is not a map and will not be affected by Atlas passive tree. Depending on your temple layout, rooms present in your temple will often add global zone modifiers, which will affect difficulty, zone quantity, rarity, and pack size, as well as more specialized effects. Any previously opened doors will be open and will allow passage between temple rooms. Any blocked passages can be opened with flash powder kegs from explosives room. Basics: Alva's gift buff. When inside Temple of Atzoatl, Alva will accompany you and will often reapply a special buff which lasts 5 minutes and grants 10% increased quantity and rarity to your character. Due to long duration and being refreshed quite often, you will have that buff on you vast majority of the time. Basics: Omnitect. The Vaal Omnitect is a main boss of Temple of Atzoatl. He's located in Apex of Atzoatl room, which is always located on the very top of the temple. You will need to have an available pathway from entrance tile to access it. This boss fight can be modified by other temple rooms present in the current temple layout. For example, boss arena might have additional hazards or enemies, as well as the boss itself will have modified loot drop table to be more likely to drop specific incursion rares or upgrade vials. Boss fight itself is quite simple. During phase 1, the boss will attack with his 4 heads by spewing fire and lighting default attacks, as well as 5 telegraphed standard attacks, as well as 1 of 2 special attacks, lighting waves or spinning flamethrowers. One of those special attacks will be added to his available moveset at 75% of health. The standard attacks are Laser Blast. One of the heads will mark multiple spots with orange lasers, and target area will explode after a couple of seconds. This move can target less lasers, but with increased explosion radius. Lightning Beam, similar to Laser Blast, but the lightning beams will apply constant damage in affected area for the duration. Explosive Flare will summon multiple exploding orbs in an area, which will explode after a moment with fire shrapnel projectiles in multiple directions. Summon Phantasms will summon energized phantasms, which will chase the player and explode on contact. Thrusters, permanent damage zone under Omnitect during Phase 1 and Phase 3. It applies stacking debuff, which will cause physical damage over time. It's visible as Dark Flame underneath the Omnitect. 2 special attacks are Lighting Waves. Omnitect will release multiple lighting waves, which cause damage, and apply stacking Omnitect Paralysis debuff, which causes player to take increased lighting damage, as well as reducing movement speed. Spinning Flamethrowers. This one is quite simple. Omnitect will start spewing fire in 4 directions, while sometimes spinning. This attack will apply Ignite. Phase 2 is triggered at 50% health. Omnitect will become invulnerable and stay shielded in middle of the arena while summoning energized phantasms from 4 directions which will try to reach him. If they aren't healed before they do, Omnitect will regenerate a portion of his energy shield. This is very similar to Atzoatl invulnerability phase. Phase 3 begins after Phase 2 ends. It's continuation of Phase 1, with last new attack added to his moveset at 25% health. Attack added will be the one that wasn't selected at 75%. This means Omnitect below 25% of health will have both lighting waves as well as spinning flamethrower moves available for a total of 7 possible attacks. Rewards: Corruption Altar. This is the main chase reward of the Incursion mechanic. Many people only focus on this aspect due to its high risk and high reward gambling characteristic. Corruption Altar is present in Tier 3 Locus of Corruption room and provides single use of special crafting option which will corrupt an item in one of 4 ways. These outcomes are: Item Destruction. Item will be completely deleted. This outcome is the worst possible as you're left with nothing. Turn item into influenced rare item. This is often negative outcome as the resulting item will have its modifiers rerolled and be corrupted. As a result, it can't be easily modified afterwards. This is often referred to as breaking the item. Turn all gem sockets into white. This will cause any sockets currently present on the item to turn white while also corrupting it. This outcome will do nothing except corrupting the target item if it happens to any item without sockets. This can be considered neutral to positive, as your starting item is left largely unchanged. Give it 2 corrupt implicits. This is the most sought after outcome. Item previous implicits will be replaced with 2 special Vaal implicits. These can be extremely powerful and can greatly enhance endgame uniques or jewels, which don't have access to Eldritch implicits. This outcome is often referred to as double corruption. All of these 4 outcomes have equal odds of happening. Rewards: Lapidary Lens. This is the secondary chase reward of the Incursion mechanic. This one will usually be more sought after in first half of the league, and is usually worth going for when possible. Lapidary Lens are present in Tier 3 Doriani's Institute room, and provide single use of special crafting option which will corrupt a gem twice. This one is different from Corruption Altar in a way that this will actually apply 2 separate Vaal Orb corruption effects. It's exclusive to skill and support gems. Lapidary Lens will apply 2 out of 4 possible effects, which leads to 6 possible combinations. These effects are: Nothing. No change will happen to the gem. Change gem into its Vaal version. This will keep its level and quality and will do nothing if gem has no Vaal version. Change gem level. This will increase or lower gem level by 1. Change gem quality. This outcome has the biggest spread of values within it, with 21 possible values ranging from -10 to +10, and including 0% quality change as possible outcomes. Lapidary lens are the main way to create gems which have 2 out of 3 of the following characteristics at once. Are Vaal version, are 1 level above that gem's natural level limit, are 1 to 3% above the gem's natural quality limit. Lapidary lens are relatively low risk since they can't destroy or cause gem to be unusable. Worst case scenario, you can lose a lot of quality and level. While level loss is reversible by simply re-leveling the gem, quality loss is permanent due to gem becoming corrupted. Rewards. Incursion Modifiers. Introduced during Incursion League, Incursion Modifiers are a special group of mods that are usually comparable or slightly better than their standard Tier 1 equivalents, or often provide additional benefits. These modifiers can't be rolled normally and have to be obtained already pre-rolled on items obtained from specific sources. Magic and rare items with these modifiers can drop from Vaal Omnitect as well as special rewards chests present in some Tier 3 temple rooms. These are a main and most common source, but not an exclusive one. Rewards. Upgradable uniques and Incursion Vials. Incursion Vials are special currency that can drop from Vaal Omnitect. Odds of specific vial dropping are modified by current temple layout. There is a total of 9 vials, which can be used to upgrade 11 different upgradable unique items that can drop from Vaal Omnitect, as well as special reward chests present in some Tier 3 temple rooms. Upgrading process itself will require access to Altar of Sacrifice, present in Tier 3 Apex of Ascension temple room. Upgraded versions of these uniques have new, powerful effects and can be very useful for some builds. More details about upgradable uniques in Advanced section. Rewards. Omnitect exclusive drops. Vaal Omnitect can drop many interesting items including Incursion Vials, 5 upgradable uniques, and Incursion rare items. But even if we exclude those, he can still drop some more interesting items. Like for example, String of Corruption unique belt. This belt will always have at least 1 Vaal corruption implicit, with a chance to drop with 2 in area level 80 or higher. This belt will have only 1 explicit modifier, which makes its implicit effects triple in value. Additionally, in area level 79 or higher, Omnitect can drop Chasing Risk Divination card, and in area level 80 or higher, you have a chance to drop Ambition Vaal aspect, which is one of 4 pieces for special unique jewel, the Adorned. Rewards. Divination cards. This section will take a closer look at all divination cards that are exclusive or semi-exclusive to Temporal Incursions or Temple of Atzoatl. First up is Akil's Prophecy. This divination card set can drop from all architects inside Temporal Incursions in areas level 68 or higher. This means any Temporal Incursion in maps will have a chance to drop this card. Additionally, this card can drop from the Alva's Memory of Reverse Incursion variant of these architects. This set can be turned in for unique Elegant Round Shield with 2 corrupt implicits and can currently only result in either the Oppressor or the Squire. Next is Duality. This divination card set can drop from all architects inside Temple of Atzoatl and won't drop from their Temporal Incursion variants. With drop level of 80, it will require area level 78 temple. This set can be turned in for double influenced body armor with item level 100. The result can't be any drop restricted body armor like Grasping Mail or Sacrificial Garb. The Card Sharp. This divination card set can drop from only 3 specific architects and only from their Temporal Incursion variant or Alva's Memory of Reverse Incursion. These architects are Ahuana, Pakwate, and Zalatl. This card has drop level of 68, which allows it to be dropped in areas level 66 or higher. Due to high popularity of corruption and gem rooms, those two will be rarely killed. This set can be turned in for Divination Scarab, previously mentioned Chasing Risk. This Divination card set can only drop from Omnitect in area level 79 or higher, due to its drop level of 81. This set can be turned in for any unique synthesis item. This should include any that drop currently from Uber Venarius. Next up is Fateful Meeting. This Divination card set is limited to drop only from Vaal Fresh Merchant, an unique enemy which can appear in every temporal incursion, but only if one has allocated Vaal Oligarch's Atlas Notable. With drop level of 80, it can be acquired in area level 78 or higher maps. This card set can be turned in for double influenced, league-specific unique item with item level of 97 and 2 corruption implicits. It can't result in item that can't possess influence, and as such it won't provide unique jewels, flasks, maps, or contracts. The Price of Loyalty. This Divination card set only drops from Zilu Kuapa inside Temple of Atzoatl in area level 77 or higher. It can't drop from his Temporal Incursion or Reverse Incursion variants. This card set can be turned in for Skin of the Loyal unique body armor with 2 corrupted implicits at item level 25. This item level cuts down amount of possible corrupted implicits down significantly. The Sacrifice. This Divination card set can drop in Temple of Atzoatl and has drop level of 80 or higher. This means it can show up in Temple with area level 78. This card set can be turned in for 6 linked Sacrificial Garb at item level 100. The Seeker. This Divination card set can drop in Temple of Atzoatl and has drop level of 35. This means it can drop in even low area level temples. This card set can be turned in for 3 Orbs of Annulment. Finally, the last Divination card set, Triskaidekaphobia. Unlike other Divination cards, this one is not exclusive to Incursions or Temple of Atzoatl, but I consider it worth mentioning. Cards for this set can drop from 2 specific bosses, Incursion Atziri, which is located in Tier 3 Throne of Atziri Temple Room, and Uber Atziri, which is higher difficulty version of Atziri boss fight, which can be accessed with full set of Mortal Fragments. Despite Incursion Atziri sharing drop table with Standard Atziri, which can be accessed with Sacrificial Fragments, she can only drop this card in Temple of Atzoatl. Her Sacrificial set version is locked to area level 70, which is too low for this card to drop, with its minimum drop level of 80 or higher. This card set can be turned in for Tier 13 map with 13% quality, which is corrupted with 8 explicit modifiers and is 100% delirious. Advanced Atlas passives. Starting with first Incursion node, we have 2 small Incursion mission chance passives for 10% chance for your maps to contain Alva, and just-in-time Atlas Notable, which provides another 20%. Incursion mission chance. Atlas passive tree can currently provide a total of 104% additional chance to contain Alva, but all of those Atlas passives are useless when using standard Incursion Scarab in your map device. There is no known benefit to having Alva chance above 100%. Second Incursion node. This one is a bit more crucial. It contains 3 Incursion pack size small passives for a total of 15% increased pack size inside of Incursions. Resource reallocation and Incursion upgrade chance provide the same effect for a total of 50% chance for double upgrade. These passives have mistake in their wording, as the effect cannot happen when killing non-resident architect when switching Tier 0 room into Tier 1 room, and only affects upgrade action. Finally, contested development Atlas Notable. This one is quite crucial for temple generation and will modify switch action. Let's take a closer look at contested development. Standard switch action, as mentioned previously, will take Tier 0 to Tier 2 room and cause it to switch its room type, with resulting room being at Tier 1. With contested development, any Tier 0 room still becomes Tier 1, but Tier 1 and Tier 2 rooms become Tier 2 and Tier 3 respectively. This means that switching Tier 2 room will allow you to both change room type and still end up with Tier 3 room without losing on room tiers. Resource reallocation will modify upgrade action, but due to Tier 0 room never actually being upgraded, it will never turn Tier 0 room into Tier 2. This effect can only provide any benefit when upgrading Tier 1 room with 50% chance to upgrade it by 2 tiers directly into Tier 3. There are currently no Tier 4 rooms, and as such, this effect will never provide any benefit when upgrading Tier 2 rooms. Third Incursion node. This one has 2 standard small passives for additional 8% Alva chance each, as well as 1 Incursion item quantity for 5% increased quantity of items dropped in Incursions. Atlas Notable Vaal Oligarchs, which causes special unique enemy to spawn in each Incursion, and Atlas Notable Artifacts of the Vaal, which causes Incursions to spawn with 4 temporal Incursions when possible. Artifacts of the Vaal Atlas Notable effect is quite useful in a way that it allows quicker temple generation. With 4 temporal Incursions per map, one can generate a new temple every 3 maps instead of standard 4. Vaal Oligarchs Atlas Notable adds a specially elusive unique Vaal Flesh Merchant to your Incursions. This enemy will often turn invulnerable and try to run away, which can waste a lot of time. Once defeated, he will drop some additional stacks of random basic currencies, and has a small chance to drop exclusive Divination card, Fateful Meeting, if killed in area level 78 or higher. Fourth Incursion node. This one is quite simple with only 3 small Alva chance nodes and 1 Atlas Notable Treasure Hunt. Treasure Hunt Atlas Notable will cause each Incursion to contain anywhere between 1 and 7 cursed treasures inside. Each cursed treasure can be interacted with and will subtract 8 seconds from Incursion timer. As for what they can drop, I have personally confirmed that they can often drop nothing or few stacks of random basic currency. There are some claims that opening these will provide increased quantity and rarity bonus for remainder of Incursion, but there are no visible changes in character stats. It's possible that there are more enticing rewards available, but further testing will be required as these are a recent addition. Final 5th Incursion node. This one is again quite simple, with 3 small Alva chance nodes and 1 Atlas Notable Time Dilation. Time Dilation is one of those difficulty-changing Atlas passives where it will provide more time for builds that may struggle or simply want to run Vaal Oligarchs and Treasure Hunt Atlas Notables, which will often require a lot of additional time. The 33% chance for all monsters to be at least magic stacks well with similar effect provided from Incursion Scarab of Champions. Don't underestimate it. Advanced Incursion Scarabs. There are currently 4 different Incursion Scarabs. 3 out of 4 interact with Incursion mechanic, while 1, Incursion Scarab of Invasion, is completely unrelated to it. You can acquire a random selection of Incursion Scarabs from Goof, Tiny Gren, if he's member of Intervention Division when raiding their safe house or after Mastermind boss fight. Depending on his rank, he will provide 1, 2, 3, or 5 random Incursion Scarabs. Rank 4 reward is only available if he's rank 3 during Mastermind boss fight. Incursion Scarab. This is basic Scarab, which only provides guaranteed spawn for Alva with her temporal Incursions. It's worth using if you're using Incursion Scarab of Champions or Timelines without 100% Alva spawn chance, but useless if she's already guaranteed to be present. Incursion Scarab of Invasion. This is specialized Scarab. Its effect will add additional monster packs throughout the map. It doesn't require Alva encounter for its effect to be applied. The additional monsters will be composed of any monsters usually present within temporal Incursions. Using this Scarab will not affect your temple in any way. Incursion Scarab of Champions. This is specialized Scarab. This Scarab was mentioned earlier, as its 35% chance for all monsters within Incursion to be at least magic stacks additively with Time Dilation Atlas Notable. With 2 of these Scarabs and Time Dilation, you will end up with 103% chance, which guarantees all Incursions to be filled with magic monsters. Additional pack size is always great, and due to how temporal Incursions work, it will be very hard to run out of time with it. Incursion Scarab of Timelines. This is specialized Scarab, it's a bit more complex but has great potential. It will cause last temporal Incursion in a map to drop additional Chronicle of Atzoatl, which mimics your current temple layout. It will keep any open passages as well as room types, but will randomize their room tiers. It can select any tier from 1 to 3, so your current room tiers will not affect it. This Scarab is great to use during last set of incursions with multiple high-value rooms present, like gem and corruption rooms of any tier. Advanced All Rooms. This section will cover every single room type in detail, so feel free to skip to any that interest you. There are a total of 25 room types that belong to 25 different architects. I tried to divide them into 5 categories, but some rooms can easily fit in more than one. Each room has theme and will increase its associated rewards in quality and or quantity depending on tier. Categories I've personally settled on are Altar, Valuable Chest, Special, General Chests, Temple-wide Bonus, and League. Altar rooms provide special crafting options to modify your items. Valuable chest rooms will contain special chests in their tier 3 variants that provide incursion items. General chests will contain multiple chests with specific theme. Temple-wide bonus rooms apply strong effects throughout the temple, but don't actually contain anything important inside. League rooms provide access to other League mechanics. Finally, special rooms contain 3 room types I couldn't place in any other category. Any room type with Vaal icon next to it will increase odds of that specific Vaal to drop from Omnitect boss fight. Before we proceed, let me explain what are temple and local room effects. Local room effect is any effect that is contained to the room itself. Example of a local room effect is that every single tier 1 to tier 3 room will contain its architect inside. Temple effects are any that will affect other temple rooms. This category contains any zone modifiers like increased quantity, rarity, pack size, or any effects that buff enemies throughout the temple. Valuable item is line of text that appears on every room from valuable chest category when they're tier 3 and refers to special chest that will drop magic incursion item or that room's associated upgradable unique as well as 2 to 3 rare incursion items. Tier 0 rooms. Most tier 0 rooms don't have any local or temple effects and don't contain any architects. They do contain monster packs and can be affected by other temple rooms. 2 notable tier 0 rooms are Entrance and Apex of Atzoatl. Entrance can be replaced and is always the starting point for your temple exploration. Apex of Atzoatl will always be present on the very top of the temple and contain Omnitect boss fight. Unique room type. This is chain of rooms that contains Sacrificial Chamber, Hall of Offerings, and Apex of Ascension. It belongs to Ahuana, Architect of Ceremonies. It has no temple effects. Any tier of this room will cause Ahuana to drop 1 guaranteed unique item. At tier 1, this room contains Table of Sacrifice, Special Altar that allows one to sacrifice unique equipment for another random unique equipment. At tier 2, Table of Sacrifice is replaced with Table of Sacrifice, which despite exact same name, provides now improved effect compared to its tier 1 version. Tier 2 will keep item class of sacrificed item. This means that sacrificing unique belt, for example, will result in another random unique belt. This is very similar to Ancient Orb effect, but it can be used on corrupted unique items. Tier 3 contains Altar of Sacrifice, which has exact same effect as Tier 2 Table of Sacrifice, but also allows to sacrifice special upgradable uniques with their corresponding vials to receive upgraded version of that unique. Keep in mind that all of these altars will keep item level of sacrificed unique item intact and transfer it to the resulting item. Gem room type. This is chain of rooms that contains Gemcutter's Workshop, Department of Thaumaturgy, and Doriani's Institute. It belongs to Atzoatl, Architect of Thaumaturgy. It has no temple effects. It contains amount of Thaumaturgy vessels equal to its tier. These are special chests that contain gems with quality and or experience, and will often drop Gemcutter prisms. At tier 3, this room will contain Lapidary lens, special altar that allows you to corrupt a skill or support gem twice. This is main way of getting a gem with 2 unnatural characteristics at the same time, like being Vaal gem, being 1 level above natural maximum, or possessing 1 to 3% quality over natural limit. With 2 out of 4 possible corruptions being selected, Without the same effect being repeated, there is 6 possible outcomes. Nothing plus Vaal, nothing plus level change, nothing plus quality change, Vaal plus level change, Vaal plus quality change, and finally, level plus quality change. Vaal outcome will change a gem into its Vaal version while also keeping its current level and quality. If there is no Vaal version, this outcome will result in no change. Nothing outcome will result in no change. Quality change will roll 1 out of 21 possible values ranging from -10 to +10, with a possibility of rolling 0. If positive quality change would put a gem over 23% quality, this outcome would result in 23% quality gem instead. In case of negative quality, it will not lower gem's quality below 0%. Level change outcome is quite simple and can only result in increase or decrease by 1 level. Each outcome has equal chance of being selected, and outcomes with multiple possible values will roll that value after being selected. Corruption room type. This is chain of rooms that contains corruption chamber, catalyst of corruption, and locus of corruption. It belongs to Pakwate, architect of corruption. It has 2 temple effects, one that lowers all maximum player resistances by 6, 8 or 10%, and second hidden one, which causes Omnitect to be more likely to drop Vial of Sacrifice. Higher room tier will provide bigger increase. Tier 3 of this room will contain Corruption Altar, which allows risky item corruption that's different from using normal Valor. As previously mentioned, this is the main chase reward of the Incursion mechanic. Many people only focus on this aspect due to its high risk and high reward gambling characteristic. Corruption Altar is present in Tier 3 Locus of Corruption room and provides single use of special crafting option, which will corrupt an item in one of 4 ways. These outcomes are: item destruction, item will be completely deleted. This outcome is the worst possible as you're left with nothing. Turn item into influenced rare item. This is often negative outcome as the resulting item will have its modifiers rerolled and be corrupted. As a result, it can't be easily modified afterwards. This is often referred to as bricking the item. Turn all socket gems into white. This will cause any sockets currently present on the item to turn white while also corrupting it. This outcome will do nothing except corrupting the target item if it happens to any item without sockets. This can be considered neutral to positive as your starting item is left largely unchanged. Give it 2 corrupt implicits. This is the most sought after outcome. Item previous implicits will be replaced with 2 special Vaal implicits. These can be extremely powerful and can greatly enhance endgame uniques or jewels, which don't have access to Eldritch implicits. This outcome is often referred to as double corruption. All of these 4 outcomes have equal odds of happening. Additionally, there is hidden secret unique that can be obtained with use of Corruption Altar. If it's used on normal rarity Sacrificial Garb, and double corruption outcome happens, it will turn instead into Shadow Stitch unique body armor. This armor will always be a corrupted sixling with 2 corrupt implicits. Lighting room type. This is chain of rooms that contains Lighting Workshop, Omnitect Reactor Plant, and Conduit of Lightning. It belongs to Xopek, Architect of Power. Tier 3 of this room contains Thunder Coffer, special chest which will drop items with Xopek Incursion modifiers, and has a chance to drop Dance of the Offered upgradable unique. There are multiple temple effects caused by this room. Monsters will deal 50, 70 or 90% extra physical damage as lightning. There will be additional lightning themed monster packs added throughout the temple. It also augments Omnitect with lightning and increased odds of dropping Vial of the Ritual and items with Xopek Incursion modifiers. This room provides standard 2% quantity, 4% rarity and 1% pack size bonus per tier. Lightning augmentation of Omnitect refers to additional stage hazard present in Omnitect boss arena. Lightning defense pylons that line the walls will periodically activate and shoot floating lightning ball projectiles throughout the whole fight. At higher tiers, these pylons will activate more often. Fire room type. This is chain of rooms that contains Flame Workshop, Omnitect Forge, and Crucible of Flame. It belongs to Puhuarte, Architect of the Forge. Tier 3 of this room contains Fireproof Chest, Special chest, which will drop items with Puhuarte Incursion modifiers and has a chance to drop Story of the Vaal upgradable unique. There are multiple temple effects caused by this room. Monsters will deal 50, 70 or 90% extra physical damage as fire. There will be additional fire-themed monster packs added throughout the temple. It also augments Omnitect with fire, and increased odds of dropping Vial of Fate and items with Puhuarte Incursion modifiers. This room provides standard 2% quantity, 4% rarity and 1% pack size bonus per tier. Fire augmentation of Omnitect refers to additional stage hazard present in Omnitect boss arena. Flame totems that are placed in 4 corners of the arena will periodically activate and spew fire in waving pattern. These totems will start to activate from phase 2 onwards. At higher tiers, more totems will activate at once, as well as at higher frequency. Trap room type. This is chain of rooms that contains Trap Workshop, Temple Defense Workshop, and Defense Research Lab. It belongs to Atzoatl, Architect of Fortifications. Tier 3 of this room contains Fortified Casket, Special Chest which will drop items with Atzoatl Incursion modifiers and has a chance to drop Architect's Hand upgradable unique. There are multiple temple effects caused by this room. Monsters will have 45, 70 or 100% increased area of effect. There will be special traps located in passageways between the temple rooms. It also augments Omnitect with increased odds of dropping Vial of Dominance and items with Atzoatl Incursion modifiers. This room provides standard 2% quantity, 4% rarity and 1% pack size bonus per tier. Temple traps that are located between open passages change in complexity with room tier. Tier 1 will add double pressure spikes with 2 horizontal dart throwers. Tier 2 will make spikes automatic and add a second layer for quad spikes. Tier 3 will combine quad spikes with crossfire dart throwers. Minion room type. This is chain of rooms that contains Hatchery, Automaton Lab and Hybridization Chamber. It belongs to Atzoatl, Architect of the Swarm. Tier 3 of this room contains Experimental Chest, Special Chest which will drop items with Atzoatl Incursion modifiers and has a chance to drop Coward's Chain's upgradable unique. There are multiple temple effects caused by this room. Monsters will have 10, 15 or 20% increased damage. There will be additional minion-themed monster packs throughout the temple. It also augments Omnitect with minions and increased odds of dropping Vial of Consequence and items with Atzoatl Incursion modifiers. This room provides standard 2% quantity, 4% rarity and 1% pack size bonus per tier. Minion augmentation of Omnitect refers to additional enemies which will spawn during second phase when Omnitect becomes invulnerable. At tier 1, only Bloodbag hatchlings are present. At tier 2, Bloodbag hatchlings will also be supported by 2 Omnitect guard golems. At tier 3, golems are still present, but the Bloodbag hatchlings are now replaced with augmented hatchlings. Healing room type. This is chain of rooms that contains Pools of Restoration, Sanctum of Vitality, and Sanctum of Immortality. It belongs to Guatelizzi, Architect of Flesh. Tier 3 of this room contains Pulse Coffer, Special Chest which will drop items with Guatelizzi Incursion modifiers and has chance to drop Mask of the Spirit Drinker upgradable unique. There are multiple temple effects caused by this room. Normal, magic, and rare monsters will heal percentage of their life per second depending on the rarity and tier of this room. It also augments Omnitect with increased odds of dropping Vial of Summoning and items with Guatelizzi Incursion modifiers. This room provides standard 2% quantity, 4% rarity, 1% pack size bonus per tier. Tempest room type. This is chain of rooms that contains Tempest Generator, Hurricane Engine, and Storm of Corruption. It belongs to Topotante, Architect of Storms. Tier 3 of this room contains Storm Coffer, Special Chest which will drop items with Topotante Incursion modifiers. This is the only room of this type without related upgradable unique or vial. There are multiple temple effects caused by this room. Each tier of this room will cause Temple to periodically spawn certain tempests. These are ground effects that will apply beneficial or harmful effect to player or creature standing inside when it detonates after a few seconds. Additionally, duration of buffs and debuffs provided by these tempests will be increased by 50, 100, or 200%. It also augments Omnitect with increased odds of dropping items with Topotante Incursion modifiers. Now, I'm sure you'd like to know what certain in certain tempests actually means, but regrettably there is not too much data available, and nobody in their right mind would actually bother with testing outdated and niche mechanics like Tempest. So anyway, here is a full list of all possible tempests and their effects, as well as total duration depending on room tier. Tier 1 has two possible tempests it can spawn: enlarging and shrinking tempests. They are polar opposites, and enlarging will provide damage and size increase, as well as reduction to damage taken. Shrinking will provide damage and size reduction, as well as increase to damage taken. With 50% increased duration from Tier 1 room effect, these will last around 8 seconds, based on default duration of 5 seconds. Tier 2 has 3 possible tempests it can spawn. Stinging tempests will cause anyone affected to deal critical strikes. Restorative Tempest will grant life and mana regeneration effect, while Resisting Tempest will provide immunity to all standard elemental ailments, while also increasing maximum and current elemental resistances. Though Stinging and Restorative Tempests follow the base duration of 5 seconds, with 10 seconds total duration due to 100% increase caused by Tier 2 room, Resisting Tempest breaks the mold with base duration of 8 seconds and total duration of 16 seconds. Tier 3 has 2 possible tempests it can spawn. Corrupting Tempest, which will cause items dropped by killed monsters to be corrupted, or for affected monsters to drop corrupted items. Radiating Tempest, which will increase quantity and rarity of items dropped. These 2 tempests follow the standard 5-second base duration and last total of 15 seconds due to 200% increase from Tier 3 room. Keep in mind that all of these tempests can affect both your player character as well as the monsters. Temple is not exactly the most dangerous place, but if you happen to get Stinging Tempest along with multiple monster buffing effects, you might be surprised by their lethality. Poison room type. This is chain of rooms that contains Poison Garden, Cultivar Chamber, and Toxic Groove. It belongs to Takati, Architect of Toxins. Tier 3 of this room contains Grove Vessel. Special chest, which will drop items with Takati Incursion modifiers, and has a chance to drop Apep's Slumber upgradable unique. There are multiple temple effects caused by this room. Each tier of this room will cause new variants of caustic plants to spawn throughout the temple. Tier 1 will cause caustic plants to spawn. This basic version will drop caustic ground effect when walked over, as well as drop some loot. Tier 2 will cause large caustic plants to spawn, which will spawn with higher density with similar effects to Tier 1 caustic plants, but will also spawn additional parasite monster packs. Tier 3 spreads parasitic caustic plants, which tends to spawn in bigger clusters than large caustic plants, but doesn't have any additional effects compared to Tier 2 variant. This room also augments Omnitect with increased odds of dropping Vial of Awakening and items with Takati Incursion modifiers. Caustic plants don't really change their visuals type with tiers, but you will see a difference in density with each tier of this room type. Personally, I think the current naming scheme is a bit misleading, and parasitic caustic plants should be the name for Tier 2 variant, while large parasitic caustic plants should be the name for Tier 3 variant. Tell me what you think. Explosive room type. This is chain of rooms that contains Explosives room, Demolition lab, and Shrine of Unmaking. It belongs to Hyoxi Architect of Destruction. This room will contain, depending on tier, 1, 2, or 3 flash powder caches, as well as equivalent amount of sealed coffers. Flash powder caches will provide 1 flash powder keg when opened. These kegs can be used to open blocked passages in current day temple. If you don't need to open any passages, they can alternatively be used to open sealed coffers. These coffers will drop some general loot as well as few stacks of currency on average. This room also contains clusters of red barrels which explode and drop loot when destroyed. This room has no standard temple effects, but it can affect other rooms due to nature of flash powder kegs and how they open way to previously inaccessible locations. Temple level room type. This is chain of rooms that contains Shrine of Empowerment, Sanctum of Unity, and Temple Nexus. It belongs to Atzoatl, Architect of the Nexus. It has no local room effects, instead it has multiple temple effects. Monsters throughout the temple will have 10, 15, or 20% increased attack and cast speed. In addition, at tier 2 and 3 of this room, it will cause all monsters to drop items 1 item level higher than usual. Depending on tier of this room, other adjacent room can be affected. At tier 1, this room will affect 1 adjacent and connected room and upgrade it by 1 tier once temple is generated. Tier 2 variant will do the same as tier 1 but will select 2 adjacent and connected rooms instead of 1. At tier 3, the effect is applied to all adjacent rooms instead and does not require a direct connection. This tier increase does not do anything to tier 0 and tier 3 rooms. There is currently a bug which causes this tier increase effect not to take place when Chronicle of Atzoatl is generated by means of using Incursion Scarab of Timelines. This room provides standard 2% quantity, 4% rarity, and 1% pack size bonus per tier. Atziri room type. This is chain of rooms that contains Royal Meeting Room, Hall of Lords, and Throne of Atziri. It belongs to Xipokado, Royal Architect. Tier 3 of this room contains Atziri, Queen of the Vaal. This is the same variant that is normally accessed with Sacrifice Fragment set, but her level will be scaled to match Temple area level. This variant is usually referred to as Incursion Atziri. She shares her drop pool with normal Atziri, but can drop Beauty Vaal Aspect as well as Triskai Decaphobia Divination card, which are normally restricted to Uber Atziri due to drop level restrictions. There are multiple temple effects caused by this room. There will be 10, 20, or 30% more magic monsters spawned throughout the temple. It also augments Omnitect with increased odds of dropping Vial of the Ghost. Map room type. This is chain of rooms that contains Surveyor's Study, Office of Cartography, and Atlas of Worlds. It belongs to Urumoti, Architect of Expansion. This room will contain, depending on tier, 1, 2, or 3 dusty charts. These are special containers which will drop multiple maps that can have 20% quality, be corrupted, and have area that is inhabited by the Vaal special modifier. Dusty charts can also drop unique maps or random cartography Scarabs. At tier 3, this room will apply Global Temple Effect, which will cause all architects to drop some map-related currency and sometimes random cartography Scarab. Armor room type. This is chain of rooms that contains Armorer's Workshop, Armory, and Chamber of Iron. It belongs to Atmohua, Architect of Iron. This room will contain, depending on tier, 2, 4, or 6 guard vaults. These are special containers which will drop random armor equipment. These containers can also drop special armor rewards, which include Corrupted, Double Corrupted, Fractured, Synthesized, Influenced, Veiled, Double Veiled, 30% quality, and 86 item level bases, with small chance for rare armor with Incursion modifier, or armor-related divination cards. Keep in mind that some special armor rewards can be limited by area level. There are multiple temple effects caused by this room. Monsters will have 20, 30, or 40% additional physical damage reduction and elemental resistances, as well as 15, 20, or 25% additional chaos resistance. This room provides standard 2% quantity, 4% rarity, and 1% pack size bonus per tier. Jewelry room type. This is chain of rooms that contains Jeweler's Workshop, Jewelry Forge, and Glittering Halls. It belongs to Azkapa, Architect of the Guild. This room will contain, depending on tier, 3, 5, or 8 glittering troves. These are special containers which will drop random jewelry equipment. These containers can also drop special jewelry rewards, which include Corrupted, Double Corrupted, Fractured, Synthesized, Influenced, Veiled, Double Veiled, and level 86 bases, with small chance for rare jewelry with Incursion modifier or jewelry related Divination cards. Glittering troves might also contain talismans or abyssal jewels. Keep in mind that some special jewelry rewards can be limited by area level. This room has 2 temple effects. It will provide 20, 40 or 60% increased item rarity bonus, as well as augment Omnitect with increased odds of dropping Vaal of Transcendence. Weapon room type. This is chain of rooms that contains Sparring Room, Arena of Valor, and Hall of Champions. It belongs to Tikaba, Architect of Arena. This room will contain, depending on tier, 2, 4, or 6 War Vaults. These are special containers which will drop random weapon equipment. These containers can also contain special weapon rewards which include Corrupted, Double Corrupted, Fractured, Synthesized, Influenced, Veiled, Double Veiled, 30% quality, and Ilvl 86 bases with small chance for rare weapons with Incursion modifier or weapon-related divination cards. Keep in mind that some special weapon rewards can be limited by area level. There are multiple temple effects caused by this room. Monsters will have 200, 300 or 400 increased critical strike chance, as well as 35, 40 or 45% increased critical strike multiplier. This room provides standard 2% quantity, 4% rarity and 1% pack size bonus per tier. General Loot room type. This is chain of rooms that contains storage room, warehouses, and museum of artifacts. It belongs to Atzoatl, Architect of the Horde. It has no temple effects. This room will contain, depending on tier, 3, 5, or 8 random chests. These chests include several types that are already present in other rooms, like glittering troves, stone coffers, dusty charts, and thaumaturgy vessels. In addition, there are 11 types of chests which can spawn only in this room type. These are as follows: Stockpile, Receptacle, and Ancient Hoard. These drop generic loot. Ancient Armaments, War Regalia, Ceremonial Adornments will drop respectively weapons, armors, and jewelry, but they don't have any chance to drop special weapon, armor, or jewelry rewards. Ancient Cache will drop currency. Sealed Trunk is filled with essences. Anomalous Objects will drop some breach splinters. Finally, there are Judicial Offerings with guaranteed offering to the goddess, and Regal Coffer, which can drop Vaal Fragment or Mortal Fragment. Currency room type. This is chain of rooms that contains Vault, Treasury, and Wealth of the Vaal. It belongs to Estazunti, Architect of the Vault. It has no temple effects. This room will contain, depending on tier, 2, 4, or 7 stone coffers. These are special containers which will drop random stacks of basic currency with small chance for currency-related divination cards. Quantity room type. This is chain of rooms that contains Workshop, Engineering Department, and Factory. It belongs to Jikwani, Architect of the Industry. While this room has no local room effects, there are multiple temple effects caused by it. Omnitect will have 15, 25, or 35% increased life, and monsters will have 20, 40, or 60% more life. This room is interesting in that it provides the standard 2% quantity, 4% rarity, and 1% pack size bonus per tier, while also providing 20, 40, or 60% increased quantity on top of that. Pack size room type. This is chain of rooms that contains Guardhouse, Barracks, and Hall of War. It belongs to Atzoatl, Architect of the War. This room has no local room effects, but only provides single temple effect of 10, 20, or 30% increased pack size bonus. It's very straightforward. Strongbox room type. This is chain of rooms that contains Strongbox Chamber, Hall of Locks, and Court of Sealed Death. It belongs to Xantipi, Architect of Concealment. It has no temple effects. This room will contain, depending on tier, 2, 4, or 6 strongboxes. At higher tiers, these strongboxes are weighted more towards rarer varieties and will quite often contain an unique strongbox or 2. Any non-unique strongboxes present will be of normal rarity, and it's a good idea to bring some engineering orbs along with other currencies to modify them into desired state before opening them. Legion room type. This is chain of rooms that contains Hall of Metal, Hall of Heroes, and Hall of Legends. It belongs to Opiloti, Architect of Strife. It has no temple effects. This room will always contain Legion Monolith. At Tier 2, each Legion spawned by this monolith will have Warhorde present. At Tier 3, each Legion will have its General present as well as Warhorde. Breach room type. This is chain of rooms that contains Splinter Research Lab, Breach Containment Chamber, and House of the Others. It belongs to Ziluk Wapa, Architect of the Breach. It has no temple effects. This room will contain, depending on tier, 1, 2, or 3 breaches. Tier 2 and Tier 3 will also contain 2 and 4 clasped hands respectively. These are special hand-shaped containers that will drop a couple of splinters. There is also a hidden modifier caused by Tier 2 and Tier 3 of this room, which will cause breaches to open and close 10% or 20% faster. Torment room type. This is chain of rooms that contains torment cells, torture cages, and sadist's den. It belongs to Tsamoto, Architect of Torments. This room has 2 notable temple effects. Every tier will cause 5 tormented spirits to spawn throughout the temple. Tier 2 and Tier 3 will cause all architects and Omnitect to be prepossessed by random tormented spirit type, the same one for all of them. This room will contain, depending on tier, 3, 4, or 7 tormented spirits that belong to predetermined selection. While the local tormented spirits are predetermined, the roaming ones can be of any tier. The predetermined selections are as follows. Tier 1 will contain Tormented Rogue, Thug, and Warlord. Tier 2 contains Tormented Alchemist, Arsonist, Charlatan, and Martyr. Tier 3 will contain Tormented Embezzler, Thief, Vaal Cultist, as well as 2 Seditionists and 2 Smugglers. All normal tormented spirits provide the same quantity bonus to possessed enemies, but there is bigger rarity bonus provided by spirits of higher tier. In addition, all tier 3 spirits also provide additional drops based on their type. Please refer to the slide on the screen for exact numbers. Advanced, Overexplained Upgradable Uniques and Vials. As previously mentioned, there are a total of 11 upgradable uniques with 9 corresponding incursion vials, which can be used to upgrade them at Altar of Sacrifice present in Apex of Ascension, which is tier 3 of uniques room type. Said altar will have 2 slots into which you can insert the unique as well as the vial. If done correctly, the sacrifice button will result in upgraded version of said unique to drop. All incursion vials can drop from Omnitect with improved odds of dropping based on their corresponding rooms being present. 6 upgradable uniques can only drop from their special reward chests present in tier 3 of their corresponding room types. On top of that, any tier of those rooms will improve odds of incursion vials used with that unique to drop with higher tier, increasing the odds by larger margin. There are 5 Omnitect uniques which are upgradable. As such, their vial drop rates, depending on vial, are improved by having Corruption, Atziri, or Jewelry room present. There is one additional source of incursion vials which isn't direct drop from Omnitect. It's the Rabbit Foot Divination card set, which can currently drop in Bone Crypt, Citadel, Cursed Crypt maps, as well as the Coward's Trial unique map and Ziggurat tier 17 map. Turning in this set provides a stack of 10 incursion vials of one random type. Apep's Slumber can be upgraded into Apep's Supremacy with Vial of Awakening. The base unique can be acquired from tier 3 Toxic Growth, and the vial can be dropped by Omnitect with higher odds of dropping whenever Poison room type is present. Coward's Chains can be upgraded into Coward's Legacy with Vial of Consequence. The base unique can be acquired from tier 3 Hybridization Chamber, and vial can be dropped by Omnitect with higher odds of dropping whenever minion room type is present. Architect's Hand can be upgraded into Slave Driver's Hand with Vial of Dominance. The base unique can be acquired from tier 3 Defense Research Lab, and vial can be dropped by Omnitect with higher odds of dropping whenever trap room type is present. Story of the Vaal can be upgraded into Fate of the Vaal with Vial of Fate. The base unique can be acquired from tier 3 Crucible of Flame, and vial can be dropped by Omnitect with higher odds of dropping whenever fire room type is present. Mask of the Spirit Drinker can be upgraded into Mask of the Stitched Demon with Vial of Summoning. The base unique can be acquired from Tier 3 Sanctum of Immortality, and Vaal can be dropped by Omnitect with higher odds of dropping whenever Healing Room type is present. Dance of the Offered can be upgraded into Omeyokan with Vial of the Ritual. The base unique can be acquired from Tier 3 Conduit of Lightning, and Vial can be dropped by Omnitect with higher odds of dropping whenever Lightning Room type is present. In addition, there is Reckless Ambition Divination card set, which can be turned in directly for Omeyokan. Currently these cards can drop from one specific Elder Guardian, Eradicator. Tempered Flesh can be upgraded into Transcendent Flesh with Vial of Transcendence. The base unique and Vial are drops from Omnitect. Vial will have higher odds of dropping whenever Jewelry Room type is present. Tempered Spirit can be upgraded into Transcendent Spirit with Vial of Transcendence. The base unique and Vial are drops from Omnitect. Vial will have higher odds of dropping whenever Jewelry Room type is present. Tempered Mind can be upgraded into Transcendent Mind with Vial of Transcendence. The base unique and Vial are drops from Omnitect. Vial will have higher odds of dropping whenever Jewelry Room type is present. Sacrificial Heart can be upgraded into Zerfis Heart with Vial of Sacrifice. The base unique and Vial are drops from Omnitect. Vial will have higher odds of dropping whenever Corruption Room type is present. In addition, there is the Life Thief Divination card set, which can be turned in directly for Zerfis Heart. Currently these cards can drop in Alleyways, City Square, Crimson Temple, Defiled Cathedral, Haunted Mansion, Lookout, and Silo maps. Soul Catcher can be upgraded into Soul Reaper with Vial of the Ghost. The base unique and Vial are drops from Omnitect. Vial will have higher odds of dropping whenever Atziri Room type is present. In addition, there is the Damned Divination card set, which can be turned in directly for Soul Reaper. Currently these cards drop in Ancient City, Maze, Sunken City, Vaal Pyramid, Vaal Temple maps, as well as Vaults of Atziri unique map. Advanced Overexplained Incursion Modifiers. All Incursion modifiers have their related architect and will be named after him. Each architect has a theme, and his related modifiers will reflect that. Whenever related architect's room type is present, Omnitect has higher chance to drop additional items with that architect's Incursion modifiers. Tier 3 of each architect's room will also contain special chest which will drop multiple related Incursion items. Outside of the temple, you can rarely acquire Incursion items from other sources like Delve, Heist, Ritual, and Vaal side areas. Items with Incursion modifiers can be rarely acquired from any source of special weapon, armor, and jewelry rewards. Atzoatl modifiers are related to minions. They focus on increased minion damage, duration, as well as attack and cast speed. Atzoatl modifiers can only roll on wands, scepters, staffs, and war staffs. Guatelitsi modifiers are related to life and energy shield. All of them are hybrid modifiers that focus on increasing maximum life or energy shield, as well as life or energy shield regeneration. Guatelitsi modifiers mostly roll on jewelry, but there is one body armor prefix available. Atzoatl modifiers are related to traps, mines, and movement speed. Movement speed modifiers are all hybrids that can only roll on boots. Remainder of Atzoatl modifiers is exclusive to caster weapons like wands, scepters, daggers, rune daggers, staffs, and war staffs. These modifiers improve traps and mines with focus on damage, throwing speed, duration, area of effect. Notably, staffs and war staffs have access to special Atzoatl prefix for +2 to level of socketed trap or mine gems. Puhuarte modifiers are related to elemental resistances. They're all equivalent to Tier 1 resistance modifiers, but with additional effects. They can roll on helmets, gloves, and amulets. Helmet variants provide additional percentage of physical damage from hits to be taken as elemental damage. Glove variants provide additional offensive benefits against enemies affected by related elemental ailment. Amulet variants provide additional life leech from elemental damage of the corresponding type. Keep in mind that you can use Horti Crafting Station to harvest swap these resistance modifiers. The resulting mod will still be Puhuarte modifier with all its additional benefits. More details in Harvest Swap of Incursion modifiers section. Takati modifiers are related to poison, chaos, and spell damage, as well as attack, cast speed, and chaos resistance. Caster weapons can roll hybrid spell damage with additional non-chaos damage as extra chaos damage prefixes, as well as flat chaos damage to spells with increased cast speed or damage with poisoned suffixes. Most other weapons can roll hybrid increased physical damage with additional physical damage as chaos damage prefix or flat chaos damage with increased attack speed. Bows and majority of bladed weapons have access to hybrid increased chaos damage and poison chance or duration modifiers. There is also hybrid chaos resistance with reduced chaos damage taken over time suffix for shields and body armors. Topotante modifiers are related to elemental damage. Bows and one-handed bladed weapons can roll hybrid flat elemental damage and elemental penetration prefixes. Wands and scepters and shields can roll hybrid increased elemental damage with flat elemental damage to spells. Gloves have access to hybrid flat elemental damage with 25% of physical damage converted to elemental prefixes. Two-handed weapons have access, depending on type, to hybrid increased elemental damage and flat elemental damage to spells, or hybrid flat elemental damage and elemental penetration prefixes. Notably, staffs and war staffs have access to both. Xopek modifiers are related to mana. Helmets, gloves, boots, and amulets have access to hybrid maximum mana and percentage mana increase prefix. Helmets have exclusive hybrid maximum mana and mana reservation efficiency prefix. Amulets and rings share hybrid maximum mana and mana regen prefix. Rings have two more hybrid prefixes. Maximum mana with either mana on hit or a lower mana cost of non-channeling skills. Expert. Harvest Swap of Incursion modifiers. Puhuarte modifiers that provide strong hybrid elemental resistances can be harvest swapped with use of Horti Crafting Station. This method will change that modifier into its variant of that other element. This method can be used to reroll resistance value by switching back and forth between resistance types. Expert. Room Manipulation. How to target specific room type. Many people will want to farm Alva temples exclusively for Tier 3 Locus of Corruption or Tier 3 Dorianis Institute. With 25 possible room types, receiving option to improve a specific room to Tier 3 is not guaranteed, but we can improve our odds. For the following method, you will need at minimum to allocate Atlas Notables, Contested Development, and Resource Reallocation. I also recommend Artifacts of the Vaal to possibly shorten the process. There are few rules by which Temporal Incursions select rooms to target. They will never pick Tier 3 room, and any room that was already selected in that zone previously. After each incursion, the next target is already selected and locked in. Each architect killed can't show up anymore until the temple is complete. With this in mind, let's proceed. The rules boil down to simple steps depending on if your room is already present in the temple and if it's already at Tier 3. In case where your target room is not present or is present but below appropriate tier, run all incursions in a zone until one is left. Preview the last incursion and skip if it's not related to your target room. Whenever option to switch to your target room or upgrade it shows up, always take it and skip any remaining incursions in that zone if your room isn't Tier 3 afterwards. If it is, feel free to proceed with any remaining incursions until the temple is complete. During any incursion, whenever you're not skipping and Temporal Incursion selects any Tier 1 room, always upgrade it for the 50% chance to completely remove that room from possible pool of targets. If Tier 2 room is selected, you can choose to switch or upgrade at your own discretion. Here is a flowchart that can be used to help with this target farming method. There shouldn't be any inconsistencies in it, but if you happen to find any, let me know and I'll make sure to improve it. Expert. Item level 84 Temple. With introduction of tier 17 maps, we now have access to area level 84 Temple of Atzoatl. This is especially useful due to special effect of tier 2 Sanctum of Unity and tier 3 Temple Nexus rooms. With monsters dropping items one level higher than usual, this will allow huge number of item level 86 items to drop, with magic monsters being able to drop them in best case scenario. Why is it important? Due to how armor bases work, they have a randomized defensive value which is rolled randomly whenever a base drops. This means that one can easily acquire so-called perfect bases that are at highest possible defensive value and have access to all modifiers that are item level restricted. In addition, while by default the chests containing incursion items will drop them at item level equal to area level, Omnitect as an unique enemy will drop items 2 levels higher. This allows access to item level 86 incursion items if they're dropped directly from Omnitect. This higher item level of drops can be also used for more niche purpose like acquisition of high item level breach rings. With magic breach monsters being able to drop item level 86 breach rings, the Temple of Atzoatl can be considered a good spot to acquire them. Recipe for Grasping Mail uses lowest item level of breach rings used in its creation to determine the Grasping Mail item level. Expert. Grand Dreams unique Vaal side area. There is currently 3 unique Vaal side areas in the game. Thanks to Lucid Dreams Atlas Notable, which allows one to modify Vaal side areas, it's possible to use Orb of Chance or Vaal Orbs to create them. Orbs of Chance have low odds of about 1 in 300, while Vaal Orbs will be more reliable and turn one into unique in every 10 to 25 tries. Grand Dreams Vaal side area is less common than Endless Nightmare, but more common than Bane of Chaos. It has special modifier which causes its unique boss to drop fractured incursion item with guaranteed fracture to be the incursion modifier. Expert. Alva's Memory of Reverse Incursion. This is one of 2 Alva memories currently in the game. It will always path along 4 maps. This memory will cause additional temporal incursions to spawn in affected maps. While this memory mentions temporal incursions, they are not actual incursions and will not affect your current temple. Those reverse incursions will spawn architects and monster packs normally found within temporal incursions, but inside of the map itself. The architects spawned will have 50% chance to drop random incursion items. These incursion items will have a random incursion modifier regardless of which architect dropped them. All architects spawned in this memory share their drop pool with their temporal incursion variants. Extra. Alva's Memory of Cascading Fortunes. This is one of 2 Alva memories currently in the game. It's an extra section due to not being technically Alva related in anything but its name. But I'd be remiss not to mention about its existence. It will always path along 4 maps. This memory will cause sequences of strongboxes to spawn in affected maps. Each strongbox sequence is a series of 3 identical strongboxes that are linked together and will open at the same time. This memory guarantees to spawn multiple strongbox sequences with increased item quantity and additional monster pack guarding them. This memory is also currently the only source of operative strongboxes. Operative strongboxes are a special type of strongbox that always contains Scarabs. This was everything overexplained about Alva. I hope you found it useful, or at least learned something new. I intend on making more videos like this, with the next few focusing on masters and their mechanics. I welcome any suggestions or feedback. Feel free to leave a comment and I'll try to answer them when possible. Thank you for watching.